This is QTSynth. Welcome to QTSynth. This video should help get you up and running, and I'll also explain a little bit about modular synthesis and the QTSynth workflow along the way. So let's just get started. Let me select the device that I plan to use, the output device. Let me just put in 1, and we'll start a new patch. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is hit the H key on your keyboard, and that brings up this list of controls and hotkeys for you to look at, and I'll go over most of these in a bit. On the right here you have your list of modules that you can use, and if you don't know what any of these are, with the help menu expanded you can hover over them and it'll give you a brief description of what each one does. Let me get a bunch of modules. Oscillator, let's get amplifier, volume envelope, what else? Yeah, and some sort of button. And let me connect these up. Let me zoom in here a little bit. You can see the difference between input and output modules. Output modules just have this sort of one circle, and input modules have two circles. So the way you patch stuff is from output to input, obviously. This here is your output module, so this outputs to your device that you've chosen. So let me just connect this up and see what it sounds like. So nothing's going to happen until I press this button. It's turned down, the volume's turned down. So yeah. You'll also notice that pretty much everything except the ports have their labels hidden. So if you want to know what these knobs or switches do, you press the Alt key, and that puts you in Alt mode. And when you hover over like each of these parameters, it'll tell you what they are. So here's your waveform selection. Set it to sine. Let's change a bunch of these. I want a sharp sort of sound here. So let me. So obviously you can click and drag to adjust the values, but if you want finer control, you can hold down Shift and drag, and if you leave your mouse in the same position, it just sort of ramps up like that exponentially. So that can be pretty useful. You can also right click to enter a specific value. So I can enter 880.5, something like that. So right now this is just playing one frequency. If you want to play like a musical note, you can do that by connecting something to this CV port here. CV stands for control voltage, and there's a little explanation here in the help description that tells you about volt per octave and what QTSynth uses, which is 0.2 volts per octave, and the values range from -1 to +1, and it's tuned to A4. So the value of 0 would give you A4. So let me just connect that up, and let me also replace the button with a clock, so it repeatedly should pulse like that. Turn it down so it's not too annoying. And another thing, these knobs you can see here, they're slightly different. They're knobs with detents, so you can click and drag, or you can use the scroll wheel, whichever works for you. So yeah, this sounds pretty straightforward. Let's automate the pitch section of this. So if you hover over a port and hit the R key, that moves a cable. Let me mute this. I'll tell you what I'm doing in just a bit. So right now what's happening is this module here is just sending random noise, and this little module is sample and hold. So what that does is it takes like a snapshot of the input value, and anytime it's triggered, it will output that value and hold it. So now we're just sending in random voltages. So you can see how the CV system sort of works. You can also change the scale of the noise, so the values aren't as aggressive. Let's change some of this up. Let's also add reverb just for fun. Find it. Anyway, enough of that. Let me mute this again. So let's say instead of that random mess that you just heard, you wanted it to sound more musical. You could run the output of these held random values. You could run that into something called quantizer. It'll quantize it. It'll make it sound musical. Let's see. Sounds a lot better. Also, that will happen. You can sort of see it appearing in the back there. This is a little something called bit rot. It's happens every once in a while on the free version. So the way you get rid of that is you find meds, and then you just click this button, and it's gone. Easy. So the next step, instead of having random values, let's try and sort of have our own sequence. So we get this thing called IOSeq, all-in-one sequencer. You can look up the explanation of that in the help menu if you want. Let's see. Let me mute this. So this is an 8-step sequencer with a bunch of with 8 knobs and 8 buttons. So let's clock this as well and change a bunch of these values. Let me actually let it run. You can also, if you set the start and the range, you can randomize stuff pretty easily. Let's add portamento to this. So let's note get slow here. Change the rise and fall. And we turn that off. You can also turn off the quantizer if you want to see what it sounds like without it. See how that's a lot less musical? Let's make this output chord instead of just one note at a time. So mute it, chord, and obviously you need multiple oscillators. Quick way to duplicate modules instead of just browsing the menu all over again. You can just hover over a module and press the D key. That allows you to quickly duplicate stuff. Also need a bigger mixer. This leads into here. And set these to 0.33. Let's run this into here, and then three notes of the chord will go to three of these oscillators, and then the mixed output will go back into this. Let's see what this is like. Sounds horrible. I wonder why. It's probably because it's changing too fast, and also let's raise this. Let's make this randomize itself. So you see these ports here. So when the sequencer reaches that position, it'll output values to this O port, and if you send in uh, a value of 1, so if you send in a gate value, it'll skip to that step. So let me just show you what I mean. So you can see how it's nearing the end. I can press that and it'll skip to the second position. So I'm going to connect the output of the last step to here. So when it reaches the last step, it should randomize itself. So instead of doing that every 8 steps, let's have it do it every 16. So the way you do that is get counter. It only outputs when it reaches the value you set it to. You can set it to 4, and then so every 4 times it'll randomize itself, sort of thing. This reverb is kind of annoying. Let's see if I can get it to sound a bit better. Let's see. Something like that. Let's set one of these to small value, like 0.25. That's a bit better. I think the sequence is trash. You can also do, instead of this counter, you can use a probability module. This is based on clouds from mutable instruments, if you know what that is. Not clouds, again, what's it called? Branches, something like that. So yeah, let's do this. So there's a 50% chance it'll just loop back on itself here. This doesn't lend itself well to this patch. You can see that happening here. Change the probability so it always does it or never does it. Let's change the waveform and try some filters out. Make this and set these to sine sawtooth waves. And let me get rid of this this chord thing, and I'm just gonna detune the other two instead. So that's here. Let's set it to like 2 cents plus minus. See what that sounds like without the filter. It's gonna sound bad. It sounds okay. Let me get the biquad filter. It's the best one I have. Let's actually run this mixed bit. Right now it's in low pass mode. This value here is your resonance. You get another envelope, and I'll connect that to this gate, which is for these buttons here. And let's make that modulate the filter. So there's a sort of complete patch. If you're happy with it, which I'm not for the record, you can press the end key on your keyboard, and that'll quick save it. You can, obviously you can change a bunch of stuff, and press the home button, and that should just reload it right back. You can also press page up and page down to save manually. It's actually getting kind of annoying to listen to. Let me just delete everything and I'll show you something else. I'm gonna hold down the X key and then just sort of move my mouse around, and that just nicely deletes everything.